My name is Darren Hupke, and this is Pixels and Polygons. Hey everyone, new week, new episode of the show. This is a fun one. We got the Flashback 64 crew back on with Gooey and McKenna, and we answer the question, what is our favorite gaming adaptation? So taking a video game and bringing it over to another form of entertainment, whether that's book, movie, TV show, comic, cell phone advertisement, whatever. We kind of discussed that and had some fun. So enjoy the episode. A little business up front. My Kickstarter is running for 8 more days. So next week's episode will be the last chance to remind y'all to support that book if you can. It is The Unofficial History of Final Fight, Beat 'em Up Volume 1. The link will be in the show notes as well. You can check that out. Even if it's not something you can financially support, like helping to spread the word and share the link on social media and things goes a long way. So I appreciate all the support. It's been going great. And this has been probably my favorite project I've worked on so far, which every time I do a new project, that one takes over the last one. So I guess the creativity continues to flow, and this is still a worthwhile endeavor to do. So I appreciate y'all. And yeah, let's have some fun and keep doing more. The Patreon has been updated. I've posted a new article or two on there in the last couple of weeks, but also the digital store. That is where you can buy all of the digital goods that I have. So you can now get Retro Game Zine issue 1 there, but also 32-bit library volume 1 through 4. That is the best way to buy them digitally. It's the only official way to buy them digitally. And my only recommendation, if you do plan to buy it through like a web browser. There is like a tax if you try and buy it through like the iPhone app. And it's just like an Apple App Store, like additional cost thing. That money doesn't go to me or anything. So you can save yourself some money and make it a little bit easier if you do, easier on yourself if you order it through the web. The PDFs and all that stuff get emailed to you right from it. So patreon.com/Darren Hupke, links again on the show notes. And then pixelsandpolygons.net, my website, is where you can directly order from me like physical books. So again, Retro Game Zine #1 is the newest thing there, but you can get physical copies of 32-bit library 1 through 4. I also have like the stickers and pins. I usually sell those at like the conventions and stuff that I go to. They were like, Kickstarter goods that I made like during the Kickstarter process, but like stickers and pins and all that, those extra goodies that were a part of that, you can actually add those to your order. You can't get those if you buy it through Amazon, which it's also available through Amazon. So also check those links all in the show notes and everything there. Exact same stuff I usually talk about. Still need to talk about it. And that's it. So the episode this week is pretty fun. The topic, like I said, is favorite video game adaptation. So listen to it, enjoy it, and if you like it, tell a friend. Other than that, that's all I got for you. We will see you all again next week for another new episode. Bye. Cool. Well, welcome to another episode. As you can hear, we have the Flashback 64 crew with me. It's just me. It's a solo show. Gooey and McKenna are here. Welcome. Thanks for coming back and doing another episode, y'all.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Good to be back.
Yeah. So I have reconfigured the show to be a little bit simpler, so it's easier for me to edit. It's not out of laziness or anything, but if I can make my life easier, I would like to make it easier. So we just do the solo guest treatment. So we will just chat, answer the question, and this will be the complete episode. I'll actually be putting it out this Friday, so it'll be from the cutting room floor to being released in just a couple of hours. So you'll be this week's guest. So
That's
thanks for coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll do just a couple questions just to catch us up on what y'all been doing. An icebreaker where I'll try and stump you, and then we'll get into the main topic. So, what have y'all been up to lately? I mean, I know you're cruising along with your podcast and Patreon and everything, but any cool projects or any cool things y'all want to share that you've been working on lately?
Anything from you? I mean, you're working pretty hard on a lot of videos and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a couple YouTube videos where I like play a few different games with but I have like a certain theme. Like I'm doing a snow day video where I play just like a life sim where it's snowing during the day, just something to put on, be cozy.
Match the vibe of what's going on outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've done that with like different seasons and
yeah, I've done a few like that.
Mm-hmm.
Done like a fall one, a rainy day one.
And those are already out and on YouTube?
Those other ones are. I'm still working on the second snow day one.
Okay. Well, you should send me the link, and I'll put it in the show notes so people can check it out and everything. My 10 of listeners can, maybe explore and find something new then.
All right.
10 of listeners. There's no plural there.
Hello, all 10. Yeah. I don't have anything specific. Like, I feel like the main. I have some other stuff, but it's been post New Year's. We haven't fully gotten back into the swing of things, and the only thing I have really been working on lately is just Flashback 64 stuff. I feel like so. Yeah.
Well, you have the other secret thing you're working on, right? Isn't there a secret thing? Maybe it's not announced, but the thing you asked me about. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about it, but I do know something happening. I ask you some more questions, actually. But yeah, I can't do it right now. Yeah, not when it's being recorded. I'm under an NDA to not talk about Gooey's secret project.
I've got secrets. I'd like to promote my secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a really cool thing happening. If you like cool stuff, it's going to be cool, and it's all you need to know. Link when it is available, because it's not now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can get you stumped with an icebreaker or make it awkward.
Let's do it.
Let's see. We've asked some of these. These ones were still like who would you be friends with growing up? I guess, let's just do this. What's your favorite time period or setting of a game? This one's not too bad.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like in games that you play, like, is there a time period or a setting that you enjoy the most, or is there one that like is usually will always kind of attract you or kind of like make you interested? Time period or setting. Well,
for me, because I feel like the majority of games I've played in my life have been like Zelda games, so it's like, I guess whatever. It's not like a real time period, but it's kind of like a fantasy sort of setting. But I don't even know if I would say that's like my favorite overall type of setting. I don't know. When you say time period, I actually do kind of like games that are set in like pseudo historical time periods, like of any sort. Maybe that's too broad of an answer. Do you have a specific?
Yeah, I just thought fantasy. Basically, yeah. Or anything with a lot of natural features is nice too, because I just like walking around in games.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna say Dracula's Castle.
Dracula's Castle, a very specific key destination. Dracula's Castle.
But it does apply to a lot of cool games. That's a good setting, I think. I don't care what time period. Just you can put it in the future, and like, what's the one Castlevania game
Aria
where
of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow? Yeah.
It's like it's the future, and you're like whatever, but then Dracula's Castle shows up. So it could be any time period, but
I think it shows up. I think it shows up via eclipse in those future ones, which I don't know what that means or how that means or anything, but there was an eclipse, and then it appeared from it, and then is in the real world, and it's just his castle and 20.
And then you find out you're Dracula or something. I can't remember
Dracula
the plot.
all along.
Yeah.
The dream is within you. Yeah, they did a great one.
I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's what I'll go with.
I've wanted to replace some of those ones. They have that collection, but Dawn, the DS one, I don't think is in that digital collection, or maybe it is. I always wanted to know how they would replicate drawing on the screen, because when you beated a boss, beat it is not a word, just so you know. When you beat a boss, you would have to like draw like that little shape or like star or whatever like type of thing on the touchscreen for the DS. And so like, how do they emulate that on consoles?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. You could probably do it on Switch playing handheld, I guess, because it's got the touchscreen. But I don't know. Otherwise, that's why we need to bring.
I know they did some of the, like they did the Zelda DS games on Wii U with the,
but not Switch
though.
That's why we need to bring back the Wii U. We need the two screens.
Don't say that.
The Switch 2. I want two screen.
It's the system closest to rhyming with PU, and that's the sound of something that stinks, and that's the Wii U.
Yeah,
great idea on paper. It was their prototype for their best thing yet with the Switch. But it is definitely not.
But we lost a little something with the two screen experience.
Playing like Wind Waker on there, it was a great experience.
You get the map down below.
I love the idea. I love the idea of it. I just don't think they ever delivered on what they really could have with that, you know? And then essentially, like, you had Breath of the Wild being like a game that was for that, but it took so long that it ended up being a Switch, you know, Twilight Princess situation with, you know, GameCube and Wii, you know, it was dual platform release. Right? That was Twilight Princess that did that, right? Yeah. Yeah, it
did. Mm-hmm.
We have a Wii U. It's in my closet. It's got a bunch of amiibos in there. Pikmin, there's of some kind is there. Pikmin 3. We just Lego City Undercover for the kids. But
I can see mine from here.
We've been using it to play Wii. Actually, I think it's a better way to play Wii on, because it actually has HDMI. You know.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's probably worth. Now I'm slightly intrigued to maybe have that out and available, because there are some Wii games. I was listening to your Patreon exclusive currently Mario Galaxy episode with the jamboree of guests and everything, and I realized I never finished Mario Galaxy. I do have that Switch collection. I could play it on the Switch, but just the conversation about using the actual Wii remote nunchuck and everything, like I did like that a lot, and so I was thinking I'd really like to play Galaxy, and I could do that via Wii U. And
there you go. Yeah. That's one of the best things about the Wii U. It's a good Wii device, which I don't know if that's necessarily so great for it as a console, but yeah.
Its best feature is that it can be an older console. All right. Well, then let's move into the main topic. That icebreaker went a little faster, so that's good. I usually like to try and stump or make you think hard, but that was a fun one.
My response is to just start talking about something else. if I get stumped, you know, I just start talking about the Wii U or whatever.
Well, I mean, Dracula's Castle. I mean, we had the fantasy setting and Dracula's Castle as a very specific setting and location, so we succeeded. You know, we didn't have to dance around it. But for this episode, we want to ask the question of the day. What is your favorite gaming adaptation? So do you have a favorite gaming, like movie, book, comic, TV show? I mean, at this point, like there's so many different ways that gaming and video games historically have been kind of changed and evolved and adapted in other mediums. But yeah, do you have a favorite or one of your favorites that you'd like to maybe share, and why?
I think I know. I think I don't know what you're going to say, but you probably know what I'm going to say.
I told you what I was going to say.
Oh, you did? What was it? Well, okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
I picked Pokemon Concierge.
Oh, yes.
I just, you know, it's only a few episodes, but I just thought it was like a perfect show. It's just great vibes. The animation is beautiful.
Really cool.
I think it's a good way to, you know, adapt a game in a different kind of way. You know, you're not don't really have a game where you're playing a concierge.
Well,
Yeah.
well, as somebody, obviously, I'm a video game player. I have a Pokemon tattoo. I obviously know what Pokemon Concierge is. But if you had to explain it to somebody who did know what it was, not being me, because I obviously know what it is, this is for other people. What is Pokemon Concierge? I
don't. So
is it a TV show?
Like a little. Yes, it's a TV show, and there's like this little island resort for Pokemon, where Pokemon just kind of get their own little vacation while their trainers are away. And
it's cute. Yeah.
So
when was this released?
Main character
last
was
year.
it 20? Yeah, was it December or January?
Yeah.
And
well, one thing before you talk about the plot, I think when you first see it, the big selling point of it is it has this like stop motion style animation, and it's very like pretty looking, and like there's a lot of detail in the production of it on its own, like the actual craft of it. It looks really cool, but but
it's on Netflix. Again, I mean, I knew this. I'm just saying, like, I'm pretending to be intrigued for the person who's listening who doesn't know. Because I know all about it. I mean, yeah, Pokemon Concierge, duh, seen it.
So yeah, you've got your main character is kind of your like classic millennial, tired of their job, looking to get out.
She's got burnout.
Burnout. So she goes to work at this Pokemon resort, and each episode there's a Pokemon that comes to the resort that's maybe a little shy. So it's kind of her mission to help them come out of their shell. So they go on. They have like various little adventures.
Yeah, it looks rad. Yeah. It has a really cool visual style. Again, I've seen it before. I'm not seeing it for the first time. I've seen it before.
I'm hoping they announced season 2, so I'm hoping when Pokemon Day comes around next month, we'll get maybe some more details on that.
It was something that I wish that there were more episodes of it. There were just episodes of her like solving different problems for different Pokemon, like more long running thing. But maybe
I feel like it's a good opportunity to like feature different Pokemon that maybe don't get featured as much. Yeah,
it feels like a good recipe to make a bunch of episodes. Take a Pokemon, what's their problem? Like let's solve it type thing. But maybe because you can tell they spent a lot of time on it still, even though there's only 3 episodes. So I don't know, I don't know the budget of it, but maybe we can get a slightly longer season. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's cool. In February 2024, Netflix ordered more episodes. So
okay. Fingers crossed.
And that was just less than a month after it was released. So when are they coming? We don't know, but hopefully soon.
Fingers crossed. Pokemon Day.
That's cool. Pokemon Concierge. Okay. Yeah, that's fun. Looks rad. Again, I mean, it looks rad if you're looking at it for the first time, which again is not me. I've seen it before. Well aware of this.
You're a pro. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Goo? What's your favorite adaptation? Is it also a TV show, or is it something different?
No, it's a movie, and I actually think, I think they got it right pretty early on, and I'm actually going to say my favorite adaptation is the Super Mario Brothers movie, the original one from 92.
Hold on.
Something like that.
No, you're not going to say that.
No, so I love this movie. Not ironically or anything. There was a period of time where I guess I sort of did when I started watching it again, and I was like a little bit embarrassed that I was kind of enjoying it. But then I've kind of grown to love it. I think I know one that it's not a good adaptation necessarily of any specific Mario game. I that's the first point of contention I know people will come at you with.
Well,
But
the tagline on the movie poster, "This ain't no game." So I mean,
game.
people need to show up knowing it's not the game. Yeah, this ain't no game. This is something new.
But I always I like, and maybe this was because when it came out for me, I was really young. So like when I saw it, I played Mario's my first game I ever played. But to me, like, it was actually like one of the first things I understood of like the concept of an adaptation, because like I knew this was different than the other Mario stuff, but like it didn't matter to me. It was like equally Mario to me, you know. And then as I got older, I was like, okay, yeah, it was weird. And then I didn't watch it for a while, and then now I've seen it a bunch in my adult life, and when I watch it, I'm like, yeah, it's not a faithful adaptation of Super Mario Brothers, but I also like don't like need that to exist. Like I don't care if there's an accurate Mario movie, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
when the new one came out, I mean, I saw it and I thought it was nice. You know, it was like a nice movie. You know, sweet little. Like if I had kids, I would love to take them to see it. But I was like,
theaters day one, we saw the new one. But I also remember being in the theaters for the original movie, being taken to see that as well. So I've seen both. Yeah. I've seen both in theaters. But yeah, I guess, I mean, that leads into like, yeah, exactly that conversation. Like, does a good, or does a quality, or is it a requirement that an adaptation be like so faithful to the source material, or can you still have fun and do something different? Like, I guess obviously, yeah, you can do something different. It doesn't have to necessarily follow the same blueprint or formula. If anything, you know, you would hope that something could spread its wings a little bit to take advantage of the medium that it is being adapted into. So like, yeah, this 93 Mario movie, you know, having differences, you know, isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I don't know that they necessarily put it all together correctly. I think that, you know, maybe still feels like there's some scotch tape holding it together at points, but it was exciting.
That is the other big thing that people bring up, is that that one had the development of that movie, or whatever, the production of it's kind of a production nightmare. And I think sometimes you could tell, but I think it just has a lot going for it that it really gets me. Like, obviously, like I think the style they do have, the sort of like cyberpunk sort of like post-apocalyptic world, and like the set looks really cool. Like I think it has a cool design, even though it's not like Mario. I like the cast. People talk about, some people like, can you believe so-and-so plays this? And I'm like, I think they're great in the movie. I think they all have, even though I know maybe that's helped, but I read they all hated it. They were all like drinking on set and stuff, but I think everybody has like great charisma and like good chemistry together. Like Mario and Luigi and John Leguizamo and Samantha Mathis, I think, are good together in the movie. And the Koopa cousins and Dennis Hopper, like they're all fun in the movie. And then finally, I think I know at one point Ed Solomon has a writing credit on it, who wrote Bill and Ted and Men in Black. And I think there's some funny jokes in the movie. And I think that I can tell they have a similar kind of humor to his style. So while I probably wouldn't put it on the level of something like those other two movies, I think it has a lot of really funny jokes in it. And it's, it's kind of got a dumb plot or whatever, but I think it's still cool. I don't know. I think it's funny and it's a good time.
Yeah. That's interesting. I did not think you were going to be serious about that, but you know, I'm not going to PU somebody's Wii U, you know? I think it's cool. I do remember being like, as a kid, like, excited for that. I mean, I remember having comic books with like ads in the back of them, like promoting it. Like it was everywhere. It was one of those things, like when I was, you know, that age, like having, like going to the grocery store, there would be like trading cards that you'd buy. And like, you know, me and my brother and my cousin would have like a binder where we would try and collect all the trading cards, because it would form a giant picture, or it would have like more information on the characters, or have some type of activity card or something. And we used to buy a ton of those for that movie. And I don't remember being disappointed with it as a kid. I think that then growing up, like, I just realizing that like it didn't necessarily like have the same like vibe that I would expect from a Mario movie if you were to do it. But like, I still luckily like wasn't at a point where like something, I wasn't allowing like, newspaper reviews to like paint my image of it and everything. It wasn't until I was older that like, like, I think I'm more from like a production standpoint that it wasn't completely like, even its original idea was like overwritten 3 or 4 different times before we got what we got out of that. And like hearing like Bob Hoskins being like drunk on set and stuff like that, not necessarily like into what he was doing there, but like, yeah, I mean, what we got is what we got. I mean, it is a very unique adaptation, and, maybe it scared Nintendo not to license, an outsourcing of their movie for 30 years potentially, but it did exist. And, I think it was considered technically a commercial failure, like shortly after, its release. But I think over times and like in cult status, that it has for, people, whether it is ironically or not, like buying it and looking back on it, at this point, it's probably made back, the money, if not, more than that. So you can't really call it a failure anymore, I don't think. But yeah, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah. I do a podcast, Virtual Theater, with my buddy Andy, where we watch video game movies and stuff, and it's our collective favorite movie. And it's sort of, actually, I kind of feel we kind of reevaluated some movies early on too, because we started watching and we were really focused on like specific like weird plot things about like the Mortal Kombat movie or something, and then I think eventually we watched enough where it kind of broke us, and we're like, I don't know, these are fun. These are silly. They're fun. I mean, there's some that are truly, truly bad, but I don't know. I would kind of back a lot of movies like the Street Fighter movie and Mortal Kombat and the Mario movie. Like, I guess all the early ones, I kind of actually like a lot of those movies more. Like, I've gained an appreciation for them after watching some later, because we eventually got to a point where certain movie, like they figured out like a formula to making certain movies, and so instead of like these crazy goofy weirdo movies, we just started to get these real like slogs of movies. Like Assassin's Creed I think is horrible, and so I'll always take like the really weird like not experimental, but like we're just doing, it's more of like a cartoony kind of movie. I always prefer that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, well, did not expect that from you. I thought for sure it was going to be something different, but that's why we do it. That's why we ask the questions. Yeah.
Do you actually? I wanted. Well, McKenna, do you feel this way too? I did want to ask. Like, do you think like being accurate to the source material is always important, or sometimes important, or
no?
Whatever?
I think as I'm older now, I think that I'm okay with that. I think that there would definitely be. I think I was at a certain age, or like if like I've always wanted like a Metal Gear Solid movie, and I'm like essentially thinking in my head like, yeah, it'll just be shot for shot like the original Metal Gear Solid game, of course. Like, if they deviate from that, it'll be bad. So what are they thinking? And then no, like if you get like the capture of like the spirit or the tone of a story or of like a character, really, like I'm down for anything, if it's entertaining or exciting and all that stuff. So, like, yeah, I don't think it has to be like, I would be totally fine if like I had a favorite, game or franchise or something that was being adapted into a different medium. Like, I would be okay with it being like radically reinterpreted if there was still something that like when I saw it, like it evoked, similar feelings, or like it gave me like reminded me of something, or even nostalgia for something. Like, I would be okay with that. So I would not be putting unfair expectations on an adaptation to be like a 1-to-1 carbon copy. I would more so encourage it to be maybe unique, to take advantage of whatever medium that is, if it means I can still like tell what it is supposed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you feel similar?
Yeah, I think an adaptation should sort of capture the essence of something, but like a video game tells a story differently from a movie, from a TV show, from a novel, from a comic. So
I will admit, I don't think the Mario movie captures the essence of Mario.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I mean, they got Yoshi right, but
they do have Yoshi. That's an incredible moment in the movie. Actually, we did a screening one year at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon of the movie with like a dozen people. After it was done, we all were watching it. There's a moment where Yoshi comes in and spits out his tongue and wraps his leg around one of the villains, and everyone watching was like, "Yeah!" And then a second later, she stabs Yoshi with something, and everyone watching was like, "No!" It was crazy. So that's how powerful that movie is. People love that little realistic Yoshi.
Yes, that extra special effect from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, right. Oh, it does look kind of bogus next to Jurassic Park. Dang.
Don't worry. It was a decade before Jurassic Park was released, so they didn't have the technology then. Oh wait, it was essentially a year apart.
Year.
Oh no.
Actually, Yoshi looks okay in there.
But yeah, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Well, I think that was a good conversation. We've not actually done that question yet for an episode of the show, so thanks for picking that one out. I like the idea of talking about these adaptations and everything. I was going to share one of mine, but I couldn't necessarily settle on one. I don't usually typically answer the questions myself anyway, but I was a fan of like those Dead Space like horror games, like PS3 era. I mean, obviously it's kind of continued, and there was a remake of it recently. But leading into the game, there was some comic books that were like prequel stories and all that stuff. And they had like they weren't just like cool. They weren't like phoned in by just like some cash grab like artist and writer that you didn't know. There was this writer at the time, Anthony Johnston. He was writing this book called Wasteland, which is like this 60-issue like epic that is like super rad, and I love that comic. And Ben Templesmith, who was the artist for like 30 Days of Night, and he's done a bunch of cool stuff. Like he's a really rad artist. But it was essentially, no matter what it was going to be called, it was going to be a great comic book with the two of them together, and I was on board with it. But knowing it was like this prequel to this game that I enjoyed and all that stuff, like I loved like the outside of the video game world they were making for Dead Space initially, and then there was a few more graphic novels. There was an animated movie. There was the two essentially quicker sequels, and there was a Wii spinoff, Dead Space Extraction, that was like an on-rail shooter that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was just like suddenly there was an overabundance of Dead Space stuff, so it kind of got too hard to follow at one point. But I loved those initial comics and everything. I thought that was really well done and rad for a new property. It wasn't adapting something that was decades old or something that people were nostalgic for. It was like, hey, we're going to do this video game, but let's also like, this is a story that doesn't need to have a lot of action. It could just kind of set up like the world and kind of tell you a little bit about what's happening in the destination you end up on in the video game before it all goes to hell. And so it just was, if you participated in it, you got to kind of expand the world and see more about it. But if you didn't, the game was still fun and entertaining and told its story completely. It was just, extra flavor, for those people who wanted that stuff. So I always enjoyed that.
I think that's a cool way you can do that with different stuff too, is like it doesn't work for everything. I do think sometimes you just got to go like, this is its own thing, but it's cool when you sometimes make like, this is like a story in the same like canonical universe of the game or whatever, whether it's a comic or a movie or show. Like if that's handled well, that can be fun for the fans, and if you make it unique enough where like people don't really need to know the games, that could be good too. Yeah. Did you like Spirits Within?
No, saw it in theater, and that's funny that you're saying that. I'm literally writing about that now. I've been doing a bunch of research on that and everything. The Retro Game Zine, another project I've been doing. The third issue for that is going to be all about Final Fantasy XI. And so that idea was all cooked up by Sakaguchi while he was living in Hawaii at Square USA, where they were spent the 4 years like rendering and producing Spirits Within. So he made that like big flop of a film, but at the same time they were cooking up ideas for this online Final Fantasy that will ultimately go on to be the most successful Final Fantasy, or I mean, financially most successful Final Fantasy property, which is crazy because everybody remembers like the big flop that was, and how he essentially stepped away from Square after that. But ultimately, he planted the seeds for this thing that would be their biggest, most profitable thing secretly years later and all that stuff. And so thinking about that recently, like that's like that idea kind of came to me like, man, we don't really think about it in that same lens. We think of this failure and him walking away. But in reality, while he was in Hawaii and he was kind of like separated from, like friends and folks from home, he discovered online role-playing games and EverQuest and things like that and thought, hey, we should do something like this that connects the world, and kind of like, let's see what this does. And so he started to put together a team, and that evolved and became that. So like that's still running to this day, and it still requires a subscription from players. There's like 40 something thousand players even today, like 20 something years later. Like it's financially like a huge success for them when it was out of the ashes of this studio that lived in Hawaii for a few years that produced the financial failure flop of a film. That's a lot of F's. That was alliteration. But yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that movie either, but did see it in theaters. My brother and I were like, yeah, let's go see this. This is going to be rad. Alec Baldwin, CG animation, Final Fantasy, and there was just nothing. Not a chocobo inside. Yeah, James Woods. Yeah, James Woods. Yeah, burn his house down.
I kind of liked it actually, but I've only played like 3 Final Fantasy games, so I was like, this is definitely different. I can tell, but I can't even remember. It's been years since I've seen it, so but I was sort of into it.
Yeah, all the games are different, and like there is always at least a theme. Like there is always like there is some connective tissue and like a theme that kind of like you have in the Final Fantasies, like with like crystals in this world and like uniting heroes against a threat, or like a party of,
there isn't a dang chocobo in there.
Yeah, there was none of like the what you would expect type scenarios. So it was, even as an adaptation or a spin-off, it was like it also didn't quite get the DNA. But yeah, oh well.
We'll have to watch it, McKenna.
The spirits within. Hold your breath. Cool. Well, thank you all for joining me on this episode. Then that'll wrap it up for your favorite gaming adaptations. We'll have you on a future episode for sure. Spoiler alert: we'll record that episode right after this, and then it will be banked for a future date. But these people don't know that. 10 of them don't know that. So thank you all. Anything you wanted to say or wrap up before we end the show? Any plugs or anything besides obviously listening to Flashback 64 and checking out the Patreon?
Yeah, Flashback 64. I guess shout out to Virtual Theater as well too. Where we do like one a month, so we've been going for years and years and years now, and I can't even remember. I'm probably embarrassed about some of the early episodes. Like I said, don't go listen to our newer ones, but I think next we're gonna cover the Borderlands movie. So yeah, we're not like contemporary. We're not a good podcast. Like a movie comes out and we're like, we'll cover that in like 2 years, but this might be the most contemporary movie we've covered in a minute. So I'm not looking forward to it. That movie looks horrible, but
yeah,
whatever.
It does. Yeah.
I've watched worse, I think. So
all right. Well, then we'll catch you all on a future. Thanks, y'all.